Hello everyone, I am CoolGuy, welcome back. Today's video is one I've been working on for a couple weeks, maybe a month or so, just gathering gameplay. The goal was to use different light subclasses and use them to compete against Stasis. I've tried them all, put time into all of them. I have a top 3 that I want to talk about, but there are some that are close to that top 3. And with those, it's important to go over why they're near the top, why they're really good, but in the end, they're just short of being on par. I use these subclasses in 6v6, but a lot of them in 3v3. 3v3 trials is a really good gauge. It isn't the absolute #1 thing to go off of, but it has a lot of weight within my list because in trials, you're in very close spaces, very specific engagements. It's your kit versus their kit. So you take into account how it countered or wasn't able to counter. So I'm going to start off with the strength of Stasis, move to where a lot of light subclasses fall short, then talk about some that are close, and then my top 3. Before I dive into those things though, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN is the only privacy product that allows unlimited simultaneous devices, so you can have it on your desktop, your phone, as many devices as you want. Surfshark encrypts your data, keeps it safe, it's an extra layer of security for your photos, your videos, all your personal stuff so no one can see it. It hides your true IP address, it's extremely easy to use, and it sets you up with the closest server. It's a new year, a lot of us work from home, and a lot of us definitely game, so that extra security is invaluable. It works as an app or a browser extension and allows you to place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world and lets you access the internet as if you're in that country. With something like Disney Plus, it isn't available in some countries, so you can just change your location and it's going to open right up. And for Netflix, there are about 15 different Netflix libraries out there to go out and explore. With changing your location, you can see what's playing around the world. What's great for us gamers is you can game in full privacy and security. It includes big ones like hiding your IP address in Discord and other chats and just not have to worry about it. And with so many people working from home, you can prevent ISP throttling from your provider and actually end up getting faster speeds than what they're capping you at. So protection is key. Use my code CoolGuy to get 83% off plus 3 extra months free. There's a link down below right at the top of the description, and for whatever reason you're unhappy, they do back a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. I love this VPN, and I really hope all of you get behind Surfshark as they've gotten behind me. It's a really good deal that they have for us. I think that most, if not all of us, would agree that Stasis is a very good subclass on all 3 characters. A very complete kit, lethality, movement, stopping you dead in your tracks. I wanted to play these light subclasses versus them because of the challenge. You've seen on the channel flawless lighthouse runs with the Ion Swift Arcstrider, Precious Scars Sentinel, Athers's Embrace Heavy Knife Gunslinger, Outbreak Perfected, and more. It can be done, but where Stasis really shines is 15 meters and in. The subclass is made up from aspects and fragments, and each character has the same fragments and grenades. Dustfield is strong, Glacier strong, Cold Snap's still good. Even if you tap them with it and they run away, you have Hedrons or something like that. Not to mention Fissure's Durance. All of them are S tier strong. And like I said with Cold Snap, even if you get away, something like the Hedron's weapon damage buff is still going to be there for them, and it can get you from a distance and kind of come back to haunt you. That 15 meters and in though, you have the Titan long knee slide. You have the close the gap shatter distance from the Hunter and the Titan, the Hunter thrown melee, the Hunter dodge, the Behemoth long range melee that slows, the Warlock's ice rift, the Warlock freeze, the chaining ice from the Warlock. When you get in close range, there are advantages there for Stasis. And more often than not, there's another thing right after a failed attempt. Maybe they miss a grenade, but they dodge next to you. Maybe they miss a freeze, and then you get close, and then they rift freeze you. Stasis also shuts down supers with abilities. It shuts down pushes, revives, choke points. One small mistake on your part, and you're done for. When you go in there with a light subclass, you almost expect a Glacier to be thrown at you, a Duskfield, a Hunter melee, something like that. When you do it as a team, one wrong push, your team shatter dive. There's a lot that goes into it, and that's why I wanted to play the light subclasses, because when we start getting into supers, the Stasis supers are all very strong, Hunter, Titan, and Warlock. They can end a round in trials, they can stop your streak. And as far as Stasis, again, I do enjoy Stasis. I think it brings a different dynamic to the game. It's fun to play, and honestly, with my mindset doing all of this, it was kind of fun to play against. It sounds kind of weird, but it was. Where there are holes and gaps in the Stasis kit, but ultimately, with it, I do think some things need to be fine-tuned. There's always room for improvement. I still use Stasis, but I also use a lot of these light subclasses, so my search for the top 3, the checklist I was going off of are these 5 things. Number 1, be able to counter and duel in close quarters combat in some way. Number 2, be able to challenge the Stasis supers. Number 3, have an area of effect grenade. Number 4, have some sort of outlier within the skill tree. It could be small, it could be a big thing. And number 5, if it does lack close quarters combat, the kit needs to do very well at a distance. And with this checklist, it's going to be paired with certain exotics to really bring out the full kit of that subclass. With the third and fourth thing, those outliers are things that are very specific to that subclass that can either help it or get you out of a sticky situation. As far as 5, at a distance, you can do well at a distance, making sure you keep that distance and try to punish them as it comes in within that 15 meters. There are 27 light subclasses, 9 void, 9 solar, 9 arc, and obviously I'm not going to be touching every single one of them, no way. But with that, I know a lot of you are going to be saying down in the comment section, this one's actually good, or why didn't you cover this? I do want to give some general reasons why I'm not going to be talking about a lot of them, and why it didn't even make the mid-tier list. Let's take Top Tree Arcstrider. There was a day when Top Tree Arcstrider ran the show. This one has Combination Blow, Health Regeneration, more melee damage, Deadly Reach, dodging near an enemy gives you increased lunge range, Combat Flow, the melee kills recharge your dodge. It's always been really, really good. It's a very close quarters subclass. You dodge, you melee, you get in there. But the issue is, that kit is kind of punished by Stasis. Even when you pick and choose your engagements and you're careful, it can still punish you. You're gonna have some plays, of course, like right here at the start of the match with Liar's Handshake. The class can work great, but most of the time, as you try to do this, all it takes is a Dusk Field as you're moving in, a Glacier to be close to you, for a Shatter to happen, or maybe you go one target to the next, and as you're getting close, you take 100 melee to the gut, it's all over. The whole top tree of Arcstrider depends on that dodge and that melee. The super can't deflect, so while you're in it, it's very possible to get frozen or shattered. You have to play the palm strike while you're in the super. But things like this are why it doesn't get much play right now. It's really good at one specific thing, but if it can't do that one specific thing, the playability is gonna fall off. Or something like Top Tree Nova. I was excited to try Top Tree Nova. It has the super Axion Bolt, you have Bloom, you have the Slova Bomb, but that's the thing. You have this really good grenade, and I tried using it in trials. We would get one shot, maybe hit him with a 120 hand cannon, 90 to the head, you follow up with that Axion, or you use it to make them move, but after it's thrown, you're just left with a charged melee for Bloom and the Slova Bomb. You could try to get in close with the melee, but you're starting to deal within that 15 meters in the strength of Stasis. Unfortunately, the footage got corrupted, but I did have tries with Fallout and camming using Top Tree Voidwalker and Middle Tree. They each have, like I said, just a really good thing, but after that, the cards really start to stack against you. There are a ton of light subclasses like this. Like I said, I'm not gonna go over them all, because a lot of what you wanna do, or where the strength is at, you can get shut down easier by Stasis than it is to go out and try to do that very specific task with the subclass. Middle Tree Sunbreaker, same thing. Bottom Tree Arcstrider, Bottom Dawn, Bottom Sentinel, Middle Tree Blade Barrage. On the Gunslinger, Middle Tree Well Warlock. I mean, you have that healing grenade, you have the Scorched Melee, but when you pop that well, you're easily frozen, easily shattered. All the Stasis supers hard counter it. With all the ones that I'm skimming over, they do one really good thing. And once that one thing is on a cooldown or it's spent, it really starts to struggle. It's kind of given all that it can give. And a lot of them just flat out miss numerous marks on that list. Some don't have a good grenade, some can't duel supers, some have poor close quarters. Some of them just simply don't truly have something next level. There are about 15 light subclasses like this, classes that do just one thing really well, and after that they're kind of stuck, or they do one thing super well, exceptionally well, but get punished for trying to do so, with how easy Stasis can take it out. Things like trying to throw a Nova Bomb while being frozen in a glacier gets old pretty quick. But now, I want to talk about some subclasses that are middle tier. Bottom Tree Voidwalker Devour and Bottom Tree Gunslinger fit that same mold. With Devour, you can eat your grenade, proc it, use gunplay at a distance, get health back. You have Blink, you have the regular Nova Bomb, but please just don't throw it while you're in a glacier. But you have a really good kit here. And maybe you can be in close quarters and get off a melee to proc Devour as well. With Bottom Tree Gunslinger, it's all weapon play. Hit your shots, the weapon gets more stable. You have a Trip Mine, a Swarm Grenade, the Golden Gun can take out supers. It can and does work. I've used it with the big throwing knife gloves, Athros's Embrace, and it did just fine. But you have to keep your discipline, you have to play the subclass to its strength. And before I go further, really quick, I want to talk about this a little bit more in the top 3. That area of effect grenade. By that I mean a pulse grenade, storm, vortex, or something like a swarm. And that's mostly for upcoming shatter dives and behemoth slides. Because when I see those glaciers show up around me, I throw that vortex, that solar grenade, whatever it is, right on top, and they're gonna come right through into it. It's changed my playstyle with a lot of subclasses, arc bolts or pulses. Unless I'm running Heart of Inmost Light on Top Tree Striker, the lightning grenade is now a pulse grenade. Unless I'm running the big Axion Bolt on Top Tree Bloom, all Voidwalkers are running the vortex because of this. You just want to use anything that can sit there and kind of Uno reverse what they're trying to do. Top Tree Night Stalker, Mid Tree Spectral Blades, again, those can work well if you keep to their strength. The top tree is just using the invisible dodge, throwing the tether as a trap. Middle tree using flawless execution at a distance, or maybe with something like Kepris. They both can do fine. Middle Tree Spectral Blades is kind of paper mache, but that's alright. They're middle tier because a lot of their kit can be used at a distance. After this middle tier, there are 3 that are just right outside of the top 3. And in no particular order, we have Bottom Tree Sunbreaker, the Sunspot tree. You have a Thermite to throw into the glaciers, and if you do decide to go into close quarters with Dune Marchers or Synthesis, something like that, I use Dune Marchers. If you get that melee final blow, you're going to drop the Sunspot right at your feet. When this happens, you're going to get more damage, faster charges to your abilities, and with a lot of people rushing at you and Stasis, the Sunspot does a ton of damage. If you pepper the field with it, it's a great subclass versus Stasis, it really is. And what's nice is if you do have a lot of Sunspots out there, something like a Glacier Grenade is thrown at it, it will destroy it, like right here, but you can't be next to it. On the reverse, if you're in that Sunspot, the Sunspot's going to destroy the Glacier, and shatter damage from fissures can take you out. And the worst part is that in theory, the Sunspot versus Stasis and Ice should work well all the time, but if you get caught in a glacier and you pop your super, a Sunspot drops down on activation, well, that Sunspot will end up taking out the Glacier Grenade and Fissures is just going to destroy you. It's kind of lame, but its neutral game for aggressive play does work well. A lot of the times you just get right in the middle being aggressive, you get a punch off, you drop that Sunspot, it can take over an area. And then once you have that Sunspot, you can try to create more. Moving Sunspot to Sunspot, it can do well. Number 2, Middle Tree Striker. The big thing is the Ballistic Slam. It's something you don't really see nowadays. It used to be in almost every game that you played. You're so high in the air for that slam, the glaciers, the dust fields, they're thrown under you. It's happened so many times, like right here in that opening clip. It's kind of funny, but I came around the corner in the air and a grenade's thrown under me. You can get right in the middle, start punching, sidearming, shotgunning, whatever it is, and almost stun the area, take it by surprise. You also have inertia for the bricks that you go over. The super's really good as well. It can take down behemoths, Shadebinders, Revenant. You just have to be careful with it. Don't really go in a straight line if you have to go towards an enemy. Kind of weave in there to miss a Silence and Squall or miss a Shadebinder's melee, things like that. And a quick tip, for whatever reason, if you mash the super button over and over while being frozen in a Glacier Grenade, you just insta-die. For whatever reason, you just fall over. It's just a bug, so just hit the super one time, it's gonna pop the activation, then you can go head first right on out of there and direct it. Number 1 is Middle Tree Arcstrider. It can deflect Silence and Squall, it deflects the Shadebinder freeze melee, it can palm strike a behemoth. The biggest thing is the block. Even with that though, you can get taken out very easy by Stasis. This happened to me in Trials. You're blocking, Glacier Grenade frozen, Shadow Dove, it's over. The melee Tempest Strike is good, Lightning Weave is good. Raiju's Harness is a really big thing for it, to be able to block cancel and still save some of your super energy. When it's super time, I really suggest that you have out Raiju's Harness because a lot of things can run away from you. Whether it be a Stompy Hunter or maybe a Behemoth just doesn't want to mess with you, they're gone. So at least cancel, conserve some of that energy. And again, these are in no particular order, just outside the top 3. It is worth mentioning Top and Bottom Tree Stormcaller, they're okay as well, but the super gets taken out pretty easily as well. Even from something like a Dustfield, one of the main reasons you run Top Tree is because of the blink, the Ionic Blink. I got caught in there once, and when you're in there, you can't do that. You can't blink away, so you're just kind of a sitting duck, and you can get teamed down. And now for my top 3, and these are in order. These subclasses I put a lot of time into, and I put them on a lot, even in Trials, to go flawless. Each of them hits those 5 points I went over earlier. These on their own terms are on the same level with Stasis. They can compete with Stasis. Number 3 is Chaos Reach with Geomags. Honestly, you can run the steps and then switch to the Geomags when it's about to be super time, but the subclass has all of those things. It has a Storm or Pulse to throw on the Glacier Grenades or Dust Fields when they push. If you get low health in a Dust Field, you have Pulse Wave, that can get you out quickly. Pulse Wave gives you a boost of movement speed when you're in low health. You have a ranged melee and Ball Lightning, and again, that can be thrown if you don't have your Storm Grenade or your Pulse Grenade when a Glacier comes down. And importantly, Ionic Trace. Defeating enemies has a chance to drop an Ionic Trace. Picking one up grants energy to all abilities. The Chaos Reach can take out all Stasis supers. And again, remember, light subclasses get their super first. Stasis takes longer to get. So with something like Geomags with Chaos Reach, not only do you get it first and have Ionic to help you along, you can cancel Chaos Reach with the Geomags. Save some energy, let some time pass, get some kills, and then sprint the remaining super meter to Geomag top off the super again. It does everything that you need it to do. We've taken it into Trials with Charge with Light, Powerful Friends, Radiant Light, we've snowballed supers, shut down Stasis, shut down Behemoths. It does super good versus Stasis. And in something like Trials, it gets super first a lot of the time. That could feed your team. If passive play goes on and you're close to your super, you just run into a wall with Geomags. It's very, very good. Number 2, Sight and Rampart Code of the Protector, the bubble. The sight and shield is a huge part of it being so high on the list, paired with the bubble. You want to run the suppressor grenade. There's also a play to run armamentarium for double suppressors with max discipline. The suppressor, as we know, can stop a super, all the stasis ones, all the other ones, but another thing it does is that if you know an enemy is around the corner, or say there's a couple of them 3-peeking on a ledge, if you get a suppressor tag on them, you can push that 15 meters that we've been talking about. There's no shatter dive coming, no double jump, no backers, no dust field, nothing. It's a very good tool, the suppression grenade. It's not just to take people out of supers. That's going to help you in close quarters, and the rest of the tree is involving the melee. Defensive strike. Defeating an enemy with a charged melee grants you and nearby allies an overshield. If you get kills with the overshield active, you get melee energy. Every time you get a melee kill, you get health back, and with defensive strike, you get increased melee damage and reload speed. So the idea is that you play around the sight and shield. Put in clean shots, throw suppressors when they're close. When they do get close, or you get close, you land that melee, the health back comes up huge. The overshield comes up huge for you and your allies. It's a defensive subclass that does that well, especially with the Titans. That's how you kind of think of it, behind the shield, playing defensively, but it has its strengths to that. Then of course, there's the bubble. The bubble has won many games. If you're frozen from silence from Revenant, pop the bubble, it unbreaks you. The Squall Tornado will not go inside the bubble. If you already have the bubble on the ground and they throw silence and Squall, the bubble is gonna outlast it. It's not gonna go inside. It stops Shadebinder. Now against Behemoth, honestly, if there are 2 or 3 Behemoths on the other team in trials, I switch to State 14 when it comes time to my super. That way I blind them and I get an overshield as I leave it. I try to have a suppressor grenade ready. I have weapons with light, I have a 4-pull shotgun, we try to make it work. If there's no Behemoths on the other team, when it's super time, I switch to the crest. The bubble still works well, and if I get super first, we drop it, the entire team gets the massive weapon damage bonus. I want to have on the crest so they get 3 big orbs to go towards their super, and we can go from there. It's a complement to your fire team, and it does very well versus Stasis. Number 1, the Attunement of Sky. Top tree Dawnblade. You can run any exotic that you want, Steps, Necrotic Grip, Ophidian. I usually go Karnstein. The full kit is a direct counter. You have the solar grenade to throw down in front of you if a dust field or a glacier's at your feet when they try to shatter. You have the ranged melee Celestial Fire. That's gonna get Karnstein's going for me, but in general, it's just a flat out good ability of this ranged melee. The next 2 things are very important, Icarus Dash and Heat Rises. Icarus Dash can get you out of dust fields. It can get you out of slow. If a hunter hits you in the body with a shuriken, you can Icarus Dash to cover if you're close to it. It's a movement tool to get you to places fast. It can be used to bait corners. In the trials card that I put on my channel, you would see me sometimes go up to a corner and then dash back. Go up to the corner, dash back, keep doing that. This is so just in case they do throw that dusk or that glacier, I'm out of there, I'm trying to bait it. And when I do see a glacier or a dust field thrown at my feet, you can Icarus straight back, get away from it. It's defensive, it's offensive, it's complete. You also have Heat Rises to get in-air picks, to get odd angles. Say a Behemoth is coming, consume the grenade, get in the air, float for 7 or so seconds, Icarus dash around, and the super can do the same thing. Use that vertical space to take out Behemoth and Shadebinder. Icarus dashing left and right. It's a very hard super to hit. Again, it's complete, and honestly, the standard. When I'm on Top Tree Dawn, I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage at all. It does everything that I needed to do and more. I wanted to make this video because they said at some point they want to bring up light subclasses. As soon as Stasis came out, it became very clear how a lot of them can be considered behind. It's that 15 meters and in, man, with Stasis. They have a very strong kit for that. With how Destiny plays, a lot of engagements are at that distance. These light subclasses, a lot of them just struggle within that range, or again, they just have one simple thing and they're not able to do it quite well because of that. And I would also assume that as future DLCs come out, Stasis is going to get new aspects and fragments. When that happens, I really hope that some of these light subclasses get some help as well. It was also important to talk about everything, all of these light subclasses, because it isn't just about a top 3, it's kind of about all of them. And with the top 3 that I did go over, I do feel that they can compete. It's on that level. It's on a level where you feel like you have advantages in multiple scenarios, not just one. It feels like currently there's too many that just don't feel like that, and I hope one day that they do. I'd like to hear your thoughts and what you're finding success with as far as a light subclass. I'd also like to know if you would agree with my top 3, what would you change? If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Remember to like and share. We have a new season coming up soon, but let's talk about this down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.